CG Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 North Court and W265 CG Tuscaloosa. A Town Square Media Station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama first and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's there. Alabama touchdown.
I just wondered if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we played the summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the winter and watched you work out in the winter. But you were strong enough to pick up the whole winter. I wanted to recruit you, and I learned that system back. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be viewed on Facebook at Martin Houston Live, at Tide 109, and on X's and O Sports. Also, will be broadcasting live on YouTube at Martin Houston Live and at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning, Wild Card Wednesday, Hump Day edition, whatever you want to call it. We're ready to get you into the program at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business, so I want to invite you to be a part of the program. Give us a call and let us know what's on your mind. Or we want to remind you also that this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing good. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning, Joe. Glad to have you back with us as well. So, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
All right, got lots we can talk about. Of course, hadn't spoken with you guys since spring ball started, so we definitely will get into that. Also, Alabama did manage to hold on to that 6th seed. We'll be playing out in San Diego, waiting to see whether or not they will play Rutgers or Notre Dame, and whether or not we think they can advance and be part of the conversation as well. Who are the top players, top returning players, spring ball? What Nick Saban had to say about the team, any and all of that. He let us know that he did and truly change coaches because there were issues. In his first comment, he has some big plans for Randolph. We hit on it a little bit yesterday. Will Randolph be this year's version of Chris Owens, the guy that we keep saying there has to be somebody more talented than him to take his spot, but he just never can do that. So we'll talk about that as well. So let's start off with a little basketball talk. After losing to Vandy and the Crimson Tide, they kind of locked in a 5 or 6 seed, I guess somewhere with 8 to 10 games go in the season. But this team limped into the big dance. X and Joe, can this team, well, oh no, I'm sorry. I know they can. How are you feeling? Will this team advance? And how deep do you think they'll advance?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Definitely thought they would have lasted longer in the SEC tournament, and when I went to bed that night, it looked like they were. So you just gotta look at this Alabama basketball team and flip a coin really to figure out which version is going to show up and how they're going to finish. Um, they of course they can win. They have the talent to win. The question is, are they going to play 40 minutes of that brand of Alabama basketball? And if they can, they will advance. If they don't, it'll be a first round exit.
So, which one you think is more likely?
uh, I honestly, at this point, I don't know. This team has been it's been such a roller coaster throughout the course of the season. I want to say it looks like they'll advance, but I really can't put my thumb on this one.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think?
I'll be bold. I think they, okay, let's be honest. Some of my brackets, I have Alabama going to the Elite Eight. I do.
Right?
I think I filled out three so far. But in one of them, I have Alabama losing in that first game. I do. I think Notre Dame presents some problems. They beat Kentucky already this year. They play in a kind of an open style. I think that if Notre Dame makes more shots than Alabama does, we'll be in trouble. But then Rutgers, they play a much slower style, more physical style. If they can slow Alabama down, that first round matchup's not going to be a gimme. I think Alabama is going to be in a dogfight.
I agree, and that's the interesting part. They could come out technically and blow out either one of these teams if their shots falling. But like you said, and it's what's hard for Alabama, Joe, right now is they are having to prepare for two teams right now, and they're not two of the same teams. Um, that could either divide their attention or it could cause them to focus. And according to Nate Oates, it seems like they were more focused, um, more intentional, based on um, the few words he said to the media.
Martin,
Go ahead.
Martin, do you believe that?
Uh, now, you notice,
Before say,
hey,
oh, we had a great week of practice. We're having great practice. The guys are focused and dialed in. I just wondered, do you believe him?
did you not notice how I carefully said that? I said it could, and I said, and according to Nate Oates, if I was buying it 100%, Joe, I'd have came out and said, "Man, this team is focused. It's questionable at best, Joe, because this basketball team just um, they just don't. Was he using the media to try to pump them up and give them confidence? And I probably felt that as much as I did anything, that he was trying to do the Nick Saban version of get your team ready through the media. Joe, are you saying you don't believe it? So
Because okay, no, I don't believe it because he said before to the media this time this year, oh, they've had good practice this week. Oh, we played hard in practice this week. Oh, we're defending well in practice this week. I don't care what we're doing in practice this week. It's not translating.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and Joe, you brought up something last week, and it seems like that has become even more of a narrative, from the people I've talked to, not necessarily in the national media, but just when you're talking to the Bama fans around, not just on the show but off the air and stuff, they really picked up on what you said about these three guards not liking each other or not helping each other. They like Bryce Young to me, Bryce Young is the same position as Quinterly, Shackelford, or Davison. When the quarterback plays, he should make everybody around him better. And you don't sense that from these three guys. And they don't and if you're selective, Joe X in who you pass to, does that also contribute to turnovers? Because you're not taking everything they give you. You're trying to, be selective. And sometimes, because some of the turnovers we make are just like, you just scratch your head.
Yeah, it's a little. I don't know. It's like they, instead of playing together, they're either trying to be the guy or force it too late.
So it's going to be interesting to watch, and then of course, if they advance, most likely they're going to have Texas Tech waiting on them, and of course that Texas Tech matchup. Texas Tech is a defensive juggernaut, and we get past Texas Tech. Um, hmm, hmm, yeah, we'll see what happens. Because there's no easy path. But once again, if you really look at our bracket, is there anybody in there that you say this team can't beat based on when they play at their highest? They're in that bracket: Texas Tech, Montana State, Michigan State, Davidson, Duke, Cal State, Fullerton. Is there anybody that Alabama can't beat in that bracket that you would just be like, just throw it away? No.
Yeah.
So we'll.
And the only one that would really give me any pause if Alabama's playing at the top of the game would be Duke.
Yeah.
But we've seen them struggle towards the end because I feel like they're pressing a little bit with this being Coach K's last year.
Yeah. So technically, kind of the Elite Eight is doable. The question is, I think it was C.J. Watson that said it, and he said he's gonna ride or die with it. He said they either get beat in the first round or they make the Elite Eight. He said nowhere in between, and I think that's kind of where we are as Bama fans. So disappointing how they went into it, into the playoffs. Let me ask you guys one quick sidebar question. What are your thoughts on how well Texas A&M was playing down the stretch and didn't get in?
I
mean,
were they the first four out?
I guess according to the thing that several times they were one of the first two out going into the SEC tournament, and then nothing they did changed it. So
the tournament is as much about politics and things of that nature as it is with the college football playoffs. Sometimes a team that might deserve to be there doesn't get put in there because of a name brand or something of that nature.
So, you got any thoughts on that, Joe? Or what happened with Texas A&M, whether or not they?
Well, I mean, they played well enough down the stretch to get in, and especially during the SEC tournament. But they didn't schedule hard in their non-conference. Their non-conference was terrible. Their non-conference schedule was awful. So it came back to bite them. Another reason for Alabama to be thankful for their number one strength of schedule, even though our conference production was not as good as what we like.
Yeah.
So A&M only has really themselves to blame looking at their non-conference schedule. Yeah, it took them a while to start playing well, but if you want to get in, you got to win that conference tournament. And I know they had big wins against Auburn, against Florida, Arkansas as well, but they didn't win the conference tournament, so they left it in the hands of the committee.
Yeah.
And when you do that, they take the whole picture, and part of that picture was a terrible non-conference schedule. So
yeah, let me ask you.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's kind of their own fault at this point.
Yeah, let me ask you this. What are your thoughts then, Joe, on the formula? If you play great non-conference, you can really suck in the conference. Because this Alabama team lost 10 conference games and lost 3 in a row down the stretch. And technically in one of the best conferences in basketball. Texas A&M down the stretch played way better than Alabama did, and really played against the teams they beat in the tournament. Were now Gonzaga was full speed when we didn't get a break on them. When we beat Tennessee was missing 2 of their players. When we beat Houston, not Houston, Baylor, they were missing 2 of their players. So if you really look at it, the down the stretch to me, and I'm not saying that you're right that this is the way it's set up, but should they reevaluate that when a team wins they won 9 out of 10 down the stretch in the SEC, which is one of the toughest conference, and beat all of the hot teams in the conference with the exception of Tennessee. Just a thought. We can move on, but just any thoughts on that? Maybe they need to reevaluate that, and because the out of conference schedule seems to carry more weight than conference schedule based on the results of this year.
Well, I mean, look at the opponents that A&M took on in the non-conference were really not good. You can
Right.
look through their KenPom and through their RPI. They weren't playing anybody. Alabama didn't play a quad 4 opponent. The whole year. Actually, they played one. Ended up with one quad 4 opponent with Oakland. So
Yeah.
I mean, yes. And you said I'm going to push back on you a little bit, saying, "Oh, you can really suck." I mean, you're 500 in probably the best conference in America. I'm not sure about really suck. Yeah, you shouldn't have lost to Georgia or at Missouri, but you take those 2 losses away, and pretty much all the rest of them are explainable. I think A&M really just.
I guess what I'm saying is they're 9 and 10 in the conference, and they're a 6 seed. I don't think it's. I probably used a bad word, Joe. I probably use
on their schedule.
Huh?
Wasn't a quad 4 team on their schedule until Oakland kind of fell off a little bit.
But I guess what I'm saying though is, Joe, that's because that's what we've been told matters is do they need to reevaluate that? Alabama was 9 and 10 and had some of the worst losses of anybody and some of the best wins. So then down the stretch, I guess I look at it from I would put less me thinking when the season starts, you're all the teams are trying to learn each other. I would put more weight on the back end than I would the front end, especially when someone's in a conference. I guess that's what I'm saying is as the way season goes along, most of the time you get the teams that's best. I'm not saying Alabama don't deserve where they're at. I'm just trying to figure out how do you take a team how is it that big of a gap between Texas A&M and Alabama? And the only thing we can say is because Alabama played a tougher non-conference schedule before January 1st. And that seems to be the ticket. I mean, and so kudos to Nate. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying kudos to Nate Oates for understanding how it works. And maybe Buzz will figure that out over at Texas A&M because he would have been better served playing tougher teams and losing and winning down the stretch than he was playing poor teams and losing in the SEC. So
yeah.
All right. Hey, let's get the break here. We got a couple guys commenting on that. And And let me see. Yeah, we'll get to those comments on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show. We'll talk a little spring ball, what Nick Saban had to say as well about his team, his coaching staff, and who are the guys that we're looking for. Can't wait to see them back out on the field. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we've got a vehicle off the roadway on US 11 eastbound at the westbound ramp onto 2059. You can expect some delays in the area. If you see other conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan has an amazing selection of fuel-efficient vehicles. Go check them out. You'll save thousands. I'm Captain Ray.
The deals are blooming at the JCPenney Spring Sale. Shop an array of doorbusters while they last, or use your coupon to save an extra 20% across the store. The deals are blooming at the JCPenney Spring Sale.
Everybody loves Taco Casa. Everything we do in our store, we prepare in our store. We hand cut all of our tomatoes. We block and shred our own cheese here in the store. So we still hand cut our chips, our sopapillas, our taco shells, our chimalupa bowls. Our chili takes about 4 to 6 hours to make every single day. The goal in that is to provide the freshest, best quality to our customers. So we just look at it as, hey, basically, we're your kitchen. You're just coming to eat in your kitchen. Taco Casa, one of the biggest cactus in town.
Your business has a story to tell. Let Fast Signs help you tell it using the right mix of visual communication solutions like signs, banners, digital displays, vehicle graphics, mobile marketing, and so much more. Give Fast Signs your business challenge, and they'll come up with a plan to grow your business, reach more customers, and accomplish more than you ever thought possible. Fast Signs, more than fast, more than signs. Visit Fast Signs at their new location just past Tuscaloosa Ford on the left. Locally owned and operated by Milton and Gina Chancellor.
Recently, Total Wireless helped Garrett Dvorak throw a virtual baby shower for his wife, Ellie.
Just to see everyone's expression, I don't have words for it.
Because when you move to Total Wireless, you can get amazing devices on 5G. And with unlimited plans starting at $25 a month per line for 4 lines, you could save up to $80 per month.
Total Wireless, you guys pull through.
Total Wireless, do amazing. 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. Savings claim made when compared to 4-line postpaid plans at the leading carrier for 2021. See terms and conditions at totalwireless.com.
Want your biggest possible tax refund this year? Jackson Hewitt and Walmart have an offer you won't want to miss. Your Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro will prepare your federal return for as little as $59 and no more than $179. Tax is done where you shop. Your biggest federal refund guaranteed for no more than $179. Stop by Jackson Hewitt in any participating Walmart store today because this offer won't last. Terms apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A cloudy sky today with occasional showers, maybe a thunderstorm in spots, the high 69. Clearing tonight with the low at 47. A dry air mass arrives tomorrow, the sky partly to mostly sunny. A warmer afternoon, a high at 77 degrees. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 59 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Stockmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680. Email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at stockmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904. Tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Right now.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show. We got X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston on with us. We got Joe Gaither behind the glass pressing all the right buttons. As we were going to break there, we were having a conversation around disappointment over A&M, Alabama getting in. I want to clarify. I think Alabama did exactly what they needed to do. They did it according to the way the NCAA subscribes it. I think A&M did it the opposite of the formula that the NCAA subscribes, meaning that you have to have you're better served not having having those low-end games on your schedule and having big-time games and losing than you are having quad 4, as I referred to, games and winning. I get that. The question I was asking is, should the NCAA maybe look at it? Because I heard a couple of announcers say, they really don't care about the last 10 games of the season. I was like, wow. Because the last there was announcers in the Vanderbilt game that said, and they said it during the A&M's games, that they don't care about the last 10 games, because it was actually during the Texas A&M game. I take that back, because Texas A&M was winning, and they were like, unfortunately, those last 10 games don't mean as much as the overall record. And I get it, but but even I'll give it to C.J. Watson saying on here, Godfrey had a team that won 20 plus games and got left out, and so he changed his scheduling. So it's not new. What happened at A&M is they're not the first team to do it. I just thought maybe since SEC was so strong and they made such a good run that they might squeak in even as a potential play-in team. Is this the best 68 teams? I don't know, but I would think they'd probably be one of those with the way they were playing down the stretch. They just didn't schedule right to get in. We got Curtis Lewis holding. Curtis, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, yeah, Martin. I saw you doing the Crimson Avenger again yesterday. And
Hey, Curtis, I'm gonna get me a hat. I'm gonna get me a hat that says CA. Crimson Avenger, and I'm gonna have a cape coming off the back of a pair of shoulder pads.
There you go. Yesterday when your guest was on there, and some of the things that were being said, you weren't exactly on board with it. Your eyes were shooting from one direction. Like you were listening to the Avenger having a hard time with that little statement. They should say Randolph being a starter. Your eyes shot left, shot right. It's like, I'm gonna have to do something about this for him.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, he's got a lot going on there that he's not coming out with. So I gotta have respect for the bench on this one.
Well, hey, listen, hey, guys, if you missed yesterday's show, Coach Saban, he sold Randolph pretty much as when you listen to it, you have to think Randolph gets the chance to be the man until someone beats him out. We're gonna give him a chance.
The guy last year until an injury right before the season started, if I'm not mistaken.
He was in that rotation with the first 5. So so I guess Curtis, let me get these guys' thoughts. Hey guys, we'll when they start practice, when they come back, will Randolph be the first team right tackle after hearing Nick Saban talk? Is it his job to lose?
Yes.
Joe?
On Monday, March 21.
Yes. And that's and of course, Curtis, I threw out the question: is Randolph going to be this year's Chris Owens that we're going to be saying all year? Well, somebody's going to beat him out. We got all these 5 stars. Somebody's going to beat him out, and it just never happens. So.
Yeah, we had them last year. We had all those 5 stars. Nobody beat Chris Owens down until I guarantee you. When Bryce Young signed that NIL deal with DCH, I got to make a change. I'm getting Bryce killed down here with Chris Owens at right tackle. Because Chris Owens was a turnstile. That couldn't block nothing. So he just made that mistake again. Put Randolph over, who's been there ever since Flipper was a minnow. Then he knows darn well he ain't beat anybody out in 5 years. Why would he beat anybody out now in 6 years? There's no way that guy could be there. But as far as the NCAA going to Alabama, I done 4 brackets. None of them got Alabama going to the Sweet 16. They either bow out to Rutgers or Texas Tech bows them out in the second round. But they don't get past Texas Tech, and Texas Tech makes it because we are not going to be able to beat those 2 teams on a consistent basis. Now, if Notre Dame beats Rutgers, yeah, we're going to go past them. I think we can beat Notre Dame. But we're not going to beat Rutgers. Rutgers is just like a bunch of bad blame northbound missiles that shoot basketball. Those suckers are rough. They play a very physical brand of ball, and the only guy that's physical on our team is probably Rojas. And at some point in time, Rojas just loses his mind. He just starts throwing chucking balls up there like all of a sudden he just challenging Michael Jordan. Like, man, quit shooting the ball. What are you doing?
Yeah. I'll let you guys come in on that. I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, I mean that's a solid point, man. Rutgers has a very good basketball team, and they're a very physical team. And Alabama has shown to lose physicality at points in times against the more physical teams.
I am
physicality against the cheerleaders.
Hey, Curtis, I am convinced that the Houston game changed our season. We won that game, but to me, Houston came in here and just physically I mean, we won the game. I'm still trying to figure out how we won that game, but they physically just big boyed us. And ever since then, to me, Memphis, that next game came out and said, okay, they don't like physical play. And ever since then, we have been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And you can see that we've struggled against the more physical teams.
Yeah, we have a hard time those two. It's like we're getting pimp slapped left and right. Left and right. And we just don't have those kind of players.
Right.
That guy would go out there and just take over and just be physical with the guy who's being physical with him. That's just not our kind of guy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, even though I love the job Nate Oates is doing, got nothing against it, but he does not incorporate any type of defensive scheme that benefits those players he's got. We don't have players who go man to man with a lot of the teams we play because they just have better players. We can't man to man those guys, and since we don't play zone, well, we might as well go ahead and buy a ticket and let them guys go to the Sweet 16 that way because they're not going to play in it. There you go. And that's all why they're getting there.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Oh.
Now, I know you said the thing about the offensive line and who you thought we
No, go ahead. You're fine.
What about Brockemeyer? What have you heard about Brockemeyer? Is he progressing or is he regressing? What is he doing at that tackle position?
He first of all, just from a physical, he had some injuries last year and some injuries this past year. I talked to a guy that played offensive line, and what they could not break him from, Curtis, is he bends at the waist. And I think that was because he probably was so much bigger than everybody he was playing, and he didn't learn to drop his hips, drop his butt, and stay firm. And so they said that in practices, the guys when they were rushing, they could always pull him forward. Boom, just in his pass set. So they said that was yeah, they said that was his. It's literally that one thing. They said he had good. His feet weren't bad. His hands weren't bad. Is what I was told. And this guy played at Alabama, former player, and he said that he bends at the waist, which makes him his easy for a guy as strong as him to pull him off balance. If they correct that, then I think he's the guy you're going to see. Now I'm talking about Tommy, the bigger of the two. Yeah. That's the one. So and isn't it interesting that a guy got as highly rated as he did and had that, but no one ever corrected it, and now he gets here and now it gets exposed because he was so much bigger than everybody in high school. It probably didn't matter. But if he corrects it, look for him to make a move, and maybe that's why Saban, went out and got a different coach that could because how many guys you think make it to the NFL that's ever had that problem? Probably none, right?
Yeah,
right. And so what's his name? Wolford, on the other hand, probably had to coach it all the time at Kentucky and at the smaller schools he's been at. So maybe we get it corrected. All right.
Well, I hope so.
They
got the talent over there. They got to get to the point where they got to coach it up. That's one thing that I can't remember the little guy's name who was the coach over there last year for the offensive line, but
Marone.
you done enough with the guys.
Yeah, they did not develop any last year. I don't think. I don't
I mean,
think
it was just like the number was just out the window at that point.
Yes,
So
sir.
just go with what you got. So but now another player I want to ask about, you don't hear a lot about. You hear his name now a little bit, but Terry Arnold, y'all think this kid gonna get playing time this year?
Hey, I'm gonna. I got to get the break, but he's one of the guys that I have down. That we're gonna see work himself into some playing time. He's one of my guys. Anyone of y'all guys want to comment before we get the break on that?
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to find a way to work him into the rotation. The question is he going to be worked in the rotation as a safety in the slot or a corner? To me, he's too talented to keep off the field.
Yep. So all right.
Yeah. All right. You guys.
All right, thanks, Curtis, and thanks for calling me out. I'm gonna have to wear shades on the radio now moving forward. So, thanks, guys. Coming back on the other side, we'll talk a little football, and then of course we'll have Scotty Hollins to wrap up the program. Thanks for listening to the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we've got a vehicle off the roadway on US 11 eastbound at the westbound ramp.
Thanks to the great folks over at Overflow Express Wash. We're able to be here each and every day, doing it from 6 to 7, Monday through Friday. If you'd like to be one of our great sponsors, all you need to do is shoot me an email at martin@martinhouston.org, and we'll get you added to the roster of great sponsors. But thanks to Overflow Express Wash, that's overflowexpresswash.com, 2 locations in Northport and Tuscaloosa to better serve you. Keep your car clean inside and out. That's Overflow Express Wash, overflowexpresswash.com. All right, real quick, guys. To me, Arnold is a guy that I think is going to be big time. I think he's going to be a guy that is able to help the team. I think he's going to be the Minka. I always it's kind of like anybody that plays the hybrid role. We kind of just refer to him as Minka, and I think he has that type of talent. Any thoughts or comments before we get to Pat on that?
No, I think he has that ability to be used anywhere, and it's just about finding a space for him. DB is probably Bama's deepest position when you look at experience. When you've got Eli Riggs, Kool-Aid, Tyree Jackson, Brian Branch, and Malachi Moore, along with Helms and Battle back at safety. So you're talking about a lot of guys that have either played a lot of football or had more opportunities within their first year at Bama. So it's just about finding that niche for them. Hopefully they're able to integrate him into the game plan and use him because of that versatility some this year, and really set him up for a great 2023.
Absolutely. Anything on you, Joe? Before we before we go.
You nailed it right there. I'm looking forward to seeing him get on the field. It's just going to be a matter of finding that spot on the field. There's a ton of talented DBs, so he's going to have to prove himself to crack into that rotation.
You know what the good part for him is that you got a new DB coach. So so it's always good to be the guy trying to get on the field when there's a coaching change. So you tend to not have to overcome any freshman mistake. So it'll be interesting to watch what happens with him. All right, Pat, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
The linebacker is bad. The right people and the right.
You're cutting out. Just
let's start one more time. Can you hear me now?
Yes. What were you saying?
Yeah, I said that the linebackers and the D-backs are we just get the right people in the right position. We're laid it down. I think we got good backups that just have to have your top 11. I mean, are you top 11 on defense that we can change people around? And what I want to talk about is James Brockermeyer. I'm hearing James Brockermeyer was recruited as one of the number 1 center, number 2 center in the country when he came to Alabama. And when I'm hearing that they're talking about moving him to guard, and that he actually may have a chance to break into the rotation. Have y'all hearing that?
I have not heard that anything about him moving, and actually Dalcourt being out probably hurts him some in that sense because he'll be fighting, for rotation in terms of he's the next man up right now unless one of these younger guys come in. Of course, DC did mention that. Don't forget that a couple years ago, Ekior actually took some reps at center as a younger player. So
I think he was the center coming out.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So don't be surprised if there's a couple of guys, Booker being one of them, that early enrollee that looks good in the weight room. That's all that's all you can hear at this point. But he could be a guy that's in that same boat you're talking about with Brockermeyer. I have not heard that about Brockermeyer. but he's still listed as a center, and he was the third guy on the depth chart. Now he's the second guy.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. Just wanted to talk about that. I did actually have read that recently. That about him moving possibilities.
Hey, listen. When you heard Saban talk, I mean, that's he named everybody. Everybody was being looked at two positions. He said Cohen at guard to tackle. He said Latham guard to tackle. I mean, everybody was potentially multiple positions. I think they're going to do a lot with this new coach. I think, Pat, you can see a lot of shuffle. Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah. I sure do. I think it fixed Tommy's problem.
Yeah.
Because he just had too much potential. And then how in the world did they not find that at camp?
Well, they may have, but sometimes it's not forced to change, Pat. Alabama, Nick Saban may have very well knew it when they signed him. But you don't pass on him on something you can correct when he's that dominant. And Marone coming out of the NFL may not know how to correct it. And maybe that's part of, the reason that because you have to technically coach offensive linemen in college, or in the pros, they've probably been coached for 3 or 4 good years.
Gotcha. Have a blessed day.
All right. X or Joe, you guys have any comments on that before we get to break?
Yeah. Excuse me. Speaking of Davenport, him being out this spring, how do you think that affects him going into the fall? I mean, McLaughlin finished the year strong at center. You have Latham, you have Cohen to interchange at that left guard position, and potentially even a Tyler Booker, who I feel like is more of a guard than a tackle at the college level. Does he find himself on the outside looking in come summer and fall camp?
Someone said on the show the other day that he may be in the portal by the time spring's over. So who knows? It's really based on how good the guys look and whether or not he thinks he has a chance to come in and beat a guy out. And it doesn't help his cause, I promise you that. With the way he ended the season, not just the way he ended the season, the way the other guy finished the season. So got to get the break here. It was the way McLaughlin finished, not the way he ended, that makes it tougher. Coming back on the other side, we'll get to Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries, presented by Johnson & Marshall Dentistry.
Tide 100.9 traffic. From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we've got a vehicle off the roadway on US 11 eastbound at the westbound ramp onto 2059. You can expect some delays in the area. If you see other conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan has an amazing selection of fuel-efficient vehicles. Go check them out. You'll save thousands. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread. Good Wednesday morning. The Tuscaloosa community is still reeling in disbelief after that drive-by shooting near Freeman Park in West End Sunday took the life of a 2-year-old boy. One of those concerned with the violent act is Tuscaloosa SCOC President Reverend James Williams. He told Newsmarket WVOA 23 he's planning a door-to-door campaign to elicit neighborhood input on how to improve life. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. I'm Don Parker. Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Get your biggest refund guaranteed. Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros will help find thousands worth of new tax credits so you get every dollar you deserve. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road, and now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over the lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit DriveSafeAlabama.org. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thanks for coming to the town square. First, I'd like to tell you about Steve. He's a plumber. I hear he does good work. Also, Tim. He's this new thing called a dentist. Oh, and Monica, she has a new vegan restaurant. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Anyway, if you need those things, just wander around town and try to find them because the internet hasn't been invented yet, so I don't know. Well, this isn't the olden days. Now word of mouth has gone online. At Town Square Tuscaloosa, we can show you how to harness the power of your existing word of mouth and amplify it online. Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer. Martin Houston.
Your show, your team, the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Lawrence, you got about 5 minutes to get back right now.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, and we got Scotty. He's down in Orlando, and he sends well wishes. He said that he's gonna sleep in this morning, so that's okay. Usually, I usually remember that, and we usually communicate, but that's okay. That just means you get a few extra minutes of X's and O's, and we'll close things out here in just a moment. Hey guys.
Marty, he was asking Mickey Mouse about James Brockermeyer. His knees fixed. So
Yeah.
he's still scouting for it.
Yeah. Hey, James, Joe, had y'all heard that about Brockermeyer? Because we had two guys that I expected one of those two guys to break into the rotation last year in Latham and or Brockermeyer. Neither one broke completely into the starting lineup. We saw Latham more down the stretch, but had you heard that about Brockermeyer?
The main thing that I've been hearing about the Brockermeyer guys, both of them really, is that they had struggled to stay healthy, and so that had been holding them back.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned that health part early. But yeah, and it's crazy to think that you could have that much talent, Joe, that much ability, X, and something as simple as bending at the waist. But you think about being a left tackle going against Will Anderson, you're backpedaling, you're trying to get there, and when you set up, you're already leaned forward. He grabs you. It's a move even when you don't bend over, where they hit you and then pull forward, and that's a move that works well against the Brockermeyer. So hopefully he gets that corrected. Nick Saban, Joe X, when you heard the audio, he said it, Joe. Hey, we got these new coaches. We're excited, and that came from self-evaluation of issues that we discovered during self-scouting. What do you think some of those self-scouting issues were? In terms of that made Nick Saban go out and change the coaches, other than just the offensive line.
I think we probably got into some tendencies last season with Bill O'Brien. I've got I think the running game. I don't really know without being in the room.
Right.
I would imagine it was probably some tendencies to do with coming out in this formation where we're doing this too much. I probably having to do with formations and schemes paired together or mixing them up.
All right, X, you got anything?
Yeah, when you look at talking about the offensive line, as you say, Marone has been in the NFL for a long time. By the time the guys get there, they're normally technically sound. You're not really taking shots on guys that don't have the skill set that is needed. And it's hard to develop a guy from breaking a habit when that's not what you've had to do for almost 20 years.
Yeah. And then I look at the tight end move. We brought Cox in. Joe, how disappointing would you say tight end play production may have been the most disappointing part of last year's team, X? And was that in other words, he must have liked Zavoda because he kept him around. but what we wanted from that position, we did not get last year.
Yeah, I mean, everybody thought Jaleel Billingsley was going to have an Irv Smith Jr., O.J. Howard type season, and it was a disappointment. And maybe that was due to the fact that it wasn't a focused position where the coach could just be there and look at those players and develop them the way that they need to be developed. So I like the Joe Cox move, especially with having Latu coming into his last year, and then a lot of inexperience behind him. You really need to have positional focus and not having to take a guy away to do something else when he can devote his time to that forward.
Yeah. Did you find it interesting that Saban, I guess he tends to feel like the special teams guy. Offense is a little more difficult to coach in today's game potentially. And last year we had Drew was the tight end coach and the special teams coach, and he talked about how that kind of position they've changed it around where it's just tight ends and he can spend more time with them. So and especially considering that we only have one true tight end that was healthy when the season ended that's still on the roster. Of course, Oots is back, and we've signed a couple freshmen in the recruiting class. We just got another kid, a walk-on from Briarwood. So we'll see how he does. Will he even play into the mix as a preferred walk-on? Lots going on the Alabama coaching staff. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the players who we're looking forward to seeing. I'm going to get Joe and Xavier's starting five on the offensive line. A group that we've not talked about at all, defensive line. We're going to have to bring them into the conversation as well. X, tell our listeners where they can find you, sir.
Yes, sir. You can find me at X&O Sports Podcasting, Spotify, iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, multiple social media platforms, all social media platforms.
All right, that's X with X's and O's Sports. That's Joe Gaither, brand manager and producer extraordinaire, taking care of pressing all the right buttons. We appreciate you. I'm Martin Houston. This is the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. And remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. We'll have Scotty Hollins back with us on next week to pick things back up right here for the Christian Moment of the Week. Thanks, guys. Be blessed. Roll Tide.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9.
Have a good one, Joe.
100.9 app.